Greetings everyone, this is Elizabeth and I am here today to fulfill a viewer request. My friend asked about embossing. She said it's been years and she doesn't quite remember, and so we're gonna go through embossing. And when she asked, I was like, which type of embossing? And so we're also going to do that because there's embossing powder. There's a style called dry embossing, and I did that when I first started crafting because this wasn't a big thing then. This beautiful embossing powder wasn't, trust me, it was not as spectacular back then as it is now. But there was dry embossing where you took a template, you took your paper, and you took a tool, and you manually embossed the paper. Now that technique, dry embossing, modified and changed and got way better with embossing folders. So we're going to have a video on dry embossing, embossing folders, and this style here, which is the powder embossing. Now, when I do dry embossing, I am also going to show texture paste through stenciling, because in the end, it is embossed. I mean, you've added something to the paper and raised it, or done something to the paper and raised the texture of the paper. So I'm gonna, technically it's probably not embossing, but it is another way to texturize your paper, and that's what we're doing, is we're adding a texture to the paper. Embossing powder is super popular because you can stamp your image, put your powder on, heat it up, and it melts and it stays and it becomes one with the paper, and it leaves gorgeous images behind. In order to get the powder to stick to your surface, and your surface, maybe you found a piece of plastic that's heat resistant, or a piece of wood, or a piece of fabric. I don't know. We're going to try all sorts, but your surface needs a sticky substance for this to hang on long enough to get heated up. And what I'm going to use is my tried and true Versamark. I have a piece of tape because this one is my old, from the days. I really should clean the thing, but it's yucky, it's gross, but you know what, it's still very sticky, and when it dries out, I can add more to it because Versamark does have a refill. And this is my detailed, fine detailed, so I don't get any goos in there. Then you have inks. Some inks you can stamp and emboss because they stay wet long enough. Pigment inks are the best for that. They're juicy, they stay wet super long. Some of your dye inks may not stay wet long enough. And these are what I'm showing because these are what I own. I only have this oxide. I do not own a stitch of another oxide. This was gifted to me from a subby, but we're gonna give it a whirl and see how that accepts the ink. And then I'm gonna show you these two inks because, you know, they're black and we like to stamp in black and emboss with a clear. It turns out really beautiful. But I'm going to show that these probably won't emboss very well. There is different black inks out there that do emboss, and I want to say VersaFine Clair, which is on my wish list. I just have used these for years because this is water-based, this is solvent. I can use alcohol markers, I can use watercolors. But now I need a third one, or I can go and get a black powder. But I've been seeing people, they stamp in black and they go over with clear, and it's gorgeous. And I had a black powder and I had issues with it. It didn't take. I threw that sucker in the trash. So either I need to find a better black powder or get a good wet black ink. As I say, the black I had was a nightmare. It didn't like to stick to my sticky stuff. So not all powders are created equal, okay? Some are super fine. Some are embedded with glitters and sparkles and shimmers or micas. Well, that one doesn't have any micas. It's pretty. This is pretty standard thickness there. Okay, they just dye the powder. And then we have super, super thick. And all it does is it builds up and it gives you a deeper, more textured surface. Okay, we're going to try a little bit of everything. They don't go bad as far as I know, because I've had these for probably 20 some years. Some of them not as long. Okay, and you can get them in all sorts of colors. Or just get it in clear. If you have a buttload of inks that stay wet long enough to emboss, just get clear. Honestly, that's all you need. Okay, so what you do need, you must need, is a sticky substance to hold the powder. I prefer Versamark, okay? But like I said, your pigment inks, okay? So if you have these, you don't need this, okay? So you must have a sticky substance. Must have, okay? You must have a heat tool. This sucker, all heat tools, they're designed to administer heat, concentrated heat. These get red inside. This will burn you. Massive heat. Blow dryer, no. Blow dryer with the adapter that focuses, no. This is a lot of pressure, a lot of airflow. This is more heat with a little bit of pressure. This is a whole lot of pressure with some heat. This will not melt your powder. This will make a mess. No blow dryers. I'm sorry, you can't substitute. Again, this I've had for years. If you take care of your tool, your investment, it will last a long time. Now, back in the day, say like you're online shopping and you're in the Facebook used classifieds, some of the really older models years ago, like 10, 20 years, well, I guess it would have to be over 20 years, they had a flaw. And you would turn them on, you would use them, and some people were hanging them to keep them out of the way. Well, the heat would go back up here and kill it. I had one of those, and after they figured out what was going on, they put in safety stuff. So now they even have a system that holds your heat gun. You can buy this little stand that will hold your heat gun, and you turn it on, and then you move your paper, and you don't even touch this. It just stays in its little stand. And then you shut it off, and it won't kill it. But I don't know how to tell the super old ones. They're probably not even out there anymore, because if people killed them like I did, we got a new one. This is that new one. And again, it's old. Okay, so invest in a good tool. Some of them now come in high and low. I think Wagner is a brand. I don't think it's made for crafts, but crafters have dubbed it really great for embossing. So definitely, you must have your tool, your heat tool, okay? Different from a blow dryer, heat tool. These are your musts, okay? And of course, a powder. This is technically all you need to do some embossing. And of course, your surface, your substrate. whatever you want to put your image on. Okay, that's what you need. Papers, ta-da, and you're good to go. You can do some embossing. Okay. Now, what I didn't mention as a must are stamps, this little baggie of powder magic, and blending tools, tray, coffee filter. These are not a must, but you're like, how do you do that if you don't have stamps? Because you can use your sticky substance, rub it on, okay? You could use a stencil, put your ink through a stencil, put your powder on. So these are not a must. Stencils are not a must. It's just one of the accessories to get you going. Okay. So what are these not a must things? Stamps. Fine detail stamps. This is a polymer stamp. This is a red rubber stamp. Doesn't matter. You can stamp with them. Silicone stamps. You know, some people love their silicone stamps. I find that they don't, it's a lot of work to make them pretty, okay? Let's just put it that way. This little guy right here, he's great because he's a little powder, like cornstarch or baby powder, something fine. And what happens is you put this on your paper and it stops the static, because this is a fine powder, and I don't know, see if I shake it up here, you can see that, well, I can see, you probably can't see, that some of that powder is sticking, okay? It sticks to everything, okay? So if you have static on your paper, that powder is going to stick where your stamp is not. This helps stop it. It's not always 100%, but it's way better to use it than not, okay? And you can make your own. I saw a lady who used a little baby sock and put the little bitty powder in there and tied it off, you know, and she had her little thing there. These little tidy trays, they're hecka old. They've been around forever. They also create static. So if you have a dryer sheet, you can rub it down. But what you do is you pour your powder and then it goes back into your thing. Again, with the static, okay, you could probably even do this. Okay, get your little anti-static to help it go in. The powder, there's a lot of powder in there. Okay, the chunkies, just make sure you don't get too many chunkies in there. Okay, dust that off, okay. This, if you don't want to invest in this, if you drink coffee, you only need one until it literally falls apart, okay. You pour your project, you give a little fold like that, put it right back in, okay. And fun thing, it doesn't stick very much to these coffee filters. I don't know why, but it's very interesting, okay. Or maybe you have a sheet of copy paper, okay. Look at that, I got an old sheet of copy paper. You sprinkle on your project and you're like, okay, I'm all done. Get your little cup, fold it right and in, okay. Now here you can see it's stuck a little, so you gotta do some little extra tappies to get it in there, okay. But then this, you didn't bend it, you didn't ruin it, so it's good to go for another project, okay. And then I have a blender brush just for my white and embossing. I don't know why I have it for white. I need another one for white. But this is so I can use stencils, okay? I get my ink, my embossing ink on there and run it through a stencil, which I'll show you in another video. Okay, so we're gonna, oh no, we're gonna do that in this video because we're using the powder embossing. Dork. Okay, so what can we emboss on? What can we emboss on? You can emboss on anything. Let's do a zoom in. All right. Okay. Emboss on anything that is heat resistant, which means if you find a piece of plastic in your package from a stamp set you bought, you can turn on your heat tool. Turn on, warm it up a little bit. Now note, this is hot, okay? I can feel heat. The closer I get, the hotter that sucker is. And then I'm just gonna go over the plastic very gently. Well, okay. That is not heat resistant. Okay, so we can't use that. That's a no. But you can use this to stamp on with a dye ink or a solvent ink. So it's not utter garbage. I mean, you can do other stuff. You can make a shaker card with this. So it's not a total waste. This here is a transparency. Okay, this is designed, well, this particular sheet is not designed to go through a printer, but I tried it through my printer, and I know that my laser printer heats up and it gets stuff hot, and these stay okay. But I still want to check it with this because this is hotter. So I'm going to do the same thing. Nice and hot. Back and forth. So that is withstanding the heat pretty darn good. And I can feel it. That's nice and toasty, okay? A little wooden piece. Well, yeah, we can heat that up. Watercolor paper. Photo paper. White cardstock. Colored cardstock. Fabric. Well, we can heat up fabric. Can we emboss it? I don't know. You're going to want something with a tight weave so the powder doesn't fall through. You're probably not going to be able to stamp on it, but let's give it a go, right? I'm going to stamp right in there, see what that looks like. If it doesn't work, I mean, it's a little chunk of fabric. Maybe I can wash the ink off or whatever. Okay, we're going to grab our little baggie here, and I'm going to do some gold lips to see if that'll actually stick. Okay. Ooh, did you see that? I almost dropped that. Okay. Normally you don't tap very hard, okay? Because if you do heavy tapping, the powder will come off the sticky stuff. Okay, I got a little extra powder there, but I can see that it powdered, so I'm gonna turn on some heat. I'm gonna be careful. Oops, no, let's clean up first because we don't want that all over. So that is put away. That is put away. Now, if you're watching Tim Holtz and a lot of other, well, not a lot of others, but some other YouTubers, they might do this off screen. And the reason they do this heating part off screen is because once you turn on that it is still pushing air. Granted, not as much as a hairdryer, but some of these particles will disperse. They'll just shoot across your table, okay? What you can do to avoid that is heat this in a designated box, Okay, nothing fancy. You can just grab a little box. Okay, put that in there. Okay, turn on your heat tool. Okay, I know it's super quick, but it started turning colors. I could see it turning colors, and that's when I stopped. Okay, isn't that just the neatest thing? And you can see there was powder in the fabric up here. So this isn't perfect, but I mean, the lips are distressed themselves, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, as long as it will hold the sticky stuff and hold heat, you can emboss it. That's actually really cute. You could cut this into a heart and put that on a page. Now, I wish I could show you. There is a little bit of powder in here. Not much, just a little bit. I should have probably done it on a white sheet. Okay, we'll put this little white sheet in there so we can see that it does shoot out next time. Okay, this is a nice big bold stamp. This little guy is just a teeny little bit of what? Detail. It's a fine detail. Water, rag, clean. Okay, that's all you need, especially with these pigments. Okay, so we're gonna try a couple of stamps and embossing with these. So this is Memento. It is a water-based, and I know that it's gonna dry kind of quick, so I'm just gonna have my powder ready. Okay, I'm gonna have this little guy ready so that I can stamp and shake. Okay, a little bit of tapping. Now, because this is a glossy surface, I forgot to do my embossing powder or the anti-static tool. I forgot this guy, but it didn't stick too bad in the places I didn't need. Now, if it does, like there's a little speck right there, just wipe them off. You can get a little paintbrush that you designate to this. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to put our powder back. Okay, powder's back. We're going to put our lid back on. Okay, and then we're going to come in here. Oops, I don't know if you saw that, but I just tapped the paper a little bit, and so it shot powder. Okay. Oh, it shot a lot of powder. Okay. Just dust it off. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn on my heat tool. I'm going to go back and forth. Up. Down. We're warming it up. Okay. And then we're going to slow it way down and go. Okay. So on this one shows a lot of missed spots. Okay. This is not good. There's missing there, all in there. It's all bubbly. And then we have this little straggler that's stuck. Okay. This is what happens when your ink dries really fast. Okay. Now, it's still really pretty effect. If you're going to go grungy, you know, definitely this would be really cool. But if you wanted a perfect stamping, this black is not good. Okay. Not good at all. Now, we're going to go to we're going to clean this off. A little bit of water, because that is a water-based ink, okay? So that's clean. So this is a water-based dye ink, and this is a solvent ink, okay? Kind of like thinking of it as your alcohol markers, okay? So we're going to just give that a second. We're going to stay with the gold, just to be fair, okay? We're going to come right over here, tappity tappity, stamp. Oh, did you see that? That's because that solvent was sitting on top. Let's try that again. I pushed way too hard for that. Now, solvent inks will dye your stamps, okay? It's dyed. They will come clean for the most part, but they'll still be... Okay, now we're going to be a little bit gentle this time. I think it still moved. Okay. It didn't even stamp that great. We're going to put a little bit of ink on there, on both of them. Okay, there's a little bit on there. It's not good. It's not good either. Okay, we're going to put it in our little box. I'm going to turn on our tool. Back and forth. Up and down. Move your paper around so you can see it. Okay. When you have this in front of you, you will start to move your paper and you'll see it. You'll see it to turn. Now, when you're done, don't touch it right away, because if it's still warm and in the liquid form, you can smear it, okay? Again, this one missed a lot, and mainly because it missed when it was stamping, okay? Solvent ink is not, well, my solvent ink is not great for photo paper, okay? Not great at it at all. It likes to stick and be weird. Okay, so we're going to clean this off. Okay. Clean that off. And then we want to make sure that we got the black off. I'm being stubborn. Okay, let's try this again. Solvent sometimes is a pain in the bupkis. Okay, I'm gonna go for my... Now, if you do an alcohol cleaner, because it's solvent, okay, do your alcohol cleaner and then do a water cleanup after to stop any of the solvent eating away and doing weird stuff to your paper or your stamp. Okay, so we're going to put that back on. Okay, now we're going to try it one more time. Make sure I got it nice and clean. That's nice and clean. Fabulous. Okay, so now we're going to use our oxide, because we know that likes to stay sticky, a little bit wet after the fact. Okay. I don't think there's a little hair in there too. Okay, so there's that. There's that. Oh, that one didn't stick at all, which is weird. It stuck in a few little places, but it didn't stick as much as I thought it would. And it might be the type of paper. We'll check on another sheet of paper. Okay. So, oh, crash. Don't panic. Don't panic. Just scooch that over there. We're going to gently pick up this paper to keep all of that powder on it. Okay. Right into the bin. Now see here, it's stuck on there really good. That's when that anti-static powder comes in handy. So I'm just picking it up with my finger and scraping it into the container, okay? And then at some point, we say, okay, that's enough. We grab our little garbage can off to the table and swipe that right in. Okay? Just like so. Because it happens. No biggie. As you can see, I've had this stuff for years. I mean, it goes a long way. Okay, so let's try. We're going to heat this little bit that we did on this one. I don't think there's anything there. Okay, so this photo paper totally did not. Okay, but that's okay. We're going to try, and not the alcohol, we need our water back, because that is a water-based ink. Okay, water-based ink. Now, I'm not going to try these two, because those two are not pigment, and I know those two are going to be like these right here. That's what those are going to look like. Okay, but what we're going to do next is we're going to try this pigment ink, because white pigment is definitely takes forever to dry. Okay. I'm afraid I don't want yuckies in my white. Okay, so we get that inked up, and then we're going to plop her down right here. Okay. Now I can see she's there. Okay. That one actually worked pretty good. I thought it might. Now I'm just doing gentle tapping, okay, because I don't want to flick it off. And you can see it even stuck to my testing right there. There's just something about white pigment. They've just got a lot of sticky binders in it. Okay. So there's that. We're going to give this a little squirt. Clean that up. Okay. There we go. And again, this is on photo paper. That's not a heat tool. Let's get this heat tool. Okay. Back and forth. Oops. I'm going to burn my fingers doing that. Back and forth. Warm it up, and then we can slow it down. Looks pretty good. That one had the least amount of misses, and we did have a little extra up here, only because I stamped. Again, this is photo paper, so you're not going to have a lot of static on this. Okay, and we're going to do a Versamark right up there just so you can see how wonderful sticky Versamark works. Okay. Me and this embossing powder. Trying to test my patience. I tipped it over on the other side. Okay. I'm going to use... Make sure that's all nice and clean. I'm going to use my nice Versamark. Okay. Because my other one has little glitter embeds and stuff. And so they might stick in those fine details. Okay. Get a little Versamark on there. You can't even tell because it's what it does. It's sticky. And I just rocked that. So it's probably going to have a little shadow going on. Okay. Now you can definitely see the Versamark a little bit better on there. And same thing, we just tap it right on. Oops. And it's so funny because it's stuck to the other stamping right here. And this is when that fine paintbrush comes in. Okay. Now, I said I rocked this, and you can see it filled in a lot up there, and that's because when I stamped, I accidentally shifted. A stamp positioner would have stopped that, so I'm just going to poke out a little bit in the center there. Okay, and into your bin. Okay. I'm going to put the lid on that because we're going to do a different color on our next paper. Okay, so now we're going to turn on our heat tool, back and forth. That's how quick it is, okay? And that just... Now, even though I smooshed the stamp, it's still decent, okay? We want it to look like this. And so when you're stamping, you just want to be careful you don't push too hard and you don't let it slide. Again, photo paper, might want a stamping platform just to hold everything in place and you get a nice crisp image, okay? But again, I would still use that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And set that to the side. Put that up there. Okay. So we had all of these little guys. And even though I thought this one would work on that photo paper, it didn't. We're going to do this one very first. Ooh, what color do we want? We're going to do it in clear, okay? So this one is my clear. There's ultra fine clear. This one's clear, but it's got a bigger granules, okay? So we're going to do, make sure this is ready. Here we go. We're going to ink you up. We're going to stamp you down. Okay. We're going to powder. All right. Now, let's see if I can't get that in there. There is powder. 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 So much powder on there. Okay. I'm going to heat it up just because. Okay. I'm going to show you what happens. And then we're going to use our anti-static. Ooh, look it right in there. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get our little box. Gonna get our little tool, and we're going to turn it on, back and forth, same as before. Warm everybody up. Okay, so I got lucky on that one. So all that powder that was hanging out here, as soon as I turned on the dryer, it blew it off, okay? You don't always get that lucky, okay? And, oops, as I'm admiring it myself and not showing you. So it didn't catch all of that loose stuff. But you can see there's a little couple clear drops right there, okay? Pretty nice embossing. And you can see how the color shows through that clear. And the ultra fine clear, which I don't have, is going to give you even more color popping through. Okay, so let me get my other paper and we can see, okay, porous paper, non-porous. Non-porous meaning slick and non-absorbent. Porous meaning absorb like a sponge, okay? That's the same color ink underneath, but this one didn't grab our embossing powder, where this one grabbed it 100%, okay? So you have to play around with what you have to see what it works on. Let me clean this off, okay? Now, we're going to do a nice big area, okay, with the lips. And we're going to use this because I think this will stay wet long enough, even though it's a dye type base, okay. Now, I'm going to use my embossing buddy, okay, and we get some powder on there, okay. That's a little too much. So I'm just going to tap that right into the garbage. Now there's a little white halo in there, okay? There's a white patch in there. Clean off my desk. This powder and stuff's everywhere. Okay, so we're going to tap on that. We're going to get this guy ready. And we're going to get our clear ready. Because even though I think it will stamp, we still want to be quick with non-pigment inks, okay? Get those lips all nice and done. Stamp. And emboss. Okay. Now, definitely that stuck. Look at that. And I can see that there's no chunks of the, that's the, ugh, that white there wasn't this powder. And you can tell because this is granularly, it's like sand, okay? So when I was touching that, it was nice and smooth, and that's the powder, okay? So we're gonna do a nice tight, like so, and realize that I made a crapper of a mess. Yikes. Holy molies. Don't do that twice. Okay, now if you're embossing with your powders and stuff and you don't want to deal with the box and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do this one, I'm gonna do it here, okay, I have powder, embossing powder, definitely feel it, it's gritty on my mat. If I took my heat tool like this, heating this up, it's also potentially going to heat this up, and if it doesn't heat it up, it's going to blow it everywhere, okay? So once you've got powder on it, you've got a little bit. You don't have all day because the ink underneath will dry, okay? That's why you kind of want to be quick with these non-pigment, non-sticky substances, okay? So now I'm going to turn on my tool one more time. We're going to get in here. We're going to go, get my fingers out of the way. We're going to go back and forth, okay? Okay. When I was heating this up, it started to change colors, but then there was a different shade of color here, so I backed it up a little bit and then went back in and was able to change it all similar. But see, I don't have any yuckies out here. That is part of the stamp, okay? That little blurb out there, that little blurb there, that's part of that stamp, okay? And look, we have clear over green. Okay, isn't that cool? So yes, you can use, well, let's use this. Let's use that real quick, just to make sure. Clean these lippers off. Okay. We're going to use our embossing buddy, because I know, I know that powder's going to stick everywhere. Okay. We're going to grab, this one. This one has some glitter in it. And this one we're going to heat up differently, okay? Similar, but different, okay? So I'm going to grab this little guy. Uh-oh. So this little ink pad has some little hairs on it. It needs a haircut, okay? Because see how this one here, why is that like totally popping out? Okay, that's weird. Okay, see how this little hair here is coming out here? If it comes out any further, that will draw my ink out and dry out my pad. So sometimes you need to give your guys a little haircut, because you don't want those little fibers hanging out. Okay, that little fiber, it has a lot of ink on it. Okay, we don't want those sticking out, because if it sticks out and a piece of paper touches it, it's going to soak that right out. I have another little straggler there, but look, okay, it's not an innocent little guy. He got some ink on him. Okay. All right. So we're going to stamp this up. Nice purple color. Okay, we're going to stamp where we powdered. We're going to emboss. Okay. This one has a bigger opening, but I'm probably going to make a mess, so I'm just going to dump it in there. Okay, now here's where the difference comes in. Yes, there's glitter there, but there's no embossing powder there, okay? That is just glitter. Very light tapping, okay? That is just glitter. Now what's going to happen, and I'll show you, we'll do this one twice, this particular color twice, just because it's got the glitter in it. That came pretty clean. Wipe off that. Okay, so here's the dealio. Okay, and do this in here. If I come at this like I've been doing everything else, we're gonna lose some of that beauty. We're gonna lose some of that glitter. Okay. And it just kind of blows it around, okay? Granted, it didn't blow a ton of it around. Some glitters are worse than others, and they do blow off. Now, I'm going to show you what to do and what you should do with all your glitters. Even if you find one like this that didn't really blow off. Okay, that one was actually pretty good. Now, the texture is different. That's like scratchy, and this is like smooth. Scratchy, smooth. This is normal. There's glitter. You're cooking glitter, and some of that glitter's like poking up, poking out, poking around, so it doesn't lie flat. Okay, so we're going to do our little embossy thingy. We're going to tap off that little bit of powder. Okay, we're going to do this again, same color and everything, because we can. Oops. Get that opened up. Oops. I just got a piece of glitter in there. I don't want it in my stamp pad. Okay, we stamp that up. We stamp our lips. Okay, we lift. We get our powder on there. Okay, and then we tap. Okay, nice and gentle. Okay, now for your glitters, this is the one thing you're going to do different. Okay, that's not the one thing. That's not different. Okay, you're going to turn on your heat tool. You're going to get your guy in here. Okay, but I'm going to hold it a little bit different so that I can get my heat tool from the bottom. Okay, I'm going to heat it from the bottom. I don't want to touch the paper. Remember, we weren't touching it before. We want it, let's see, you know, about a half an inch-ish. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to heat it up. We're going to go back and forth, up and down, you know, wiggle that sucker around and get the back heated up. Okay, let's turn her on. Okay. Then you flip her over and make sure you didn't miss anything. Okay? I had 0 blow away because I was underneath. Isn't that fabulous? Okay? Just keep it moving, just like when you're doing it in the front. You don't want it. Okay, here's what you don't do. Where's a white piece of paper? Okay? This is what you don't do. You don't heat any of it like this, okay? Ooh, I can smell it cooking now. See that? I just burnt my paper, okay? That is not how we heat it up. We don't want burnt paper. Burnt paper is bad. It stinks and everything else. And of course, at some point, it will catch fire. So, keep it on. Keep it moving. Okay? You can move fast. I like to do a fast. I like to do warm everything up. Everybody is different. Some people turn on that machine and they go super slow from the beginning. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're not staying in one spot waiting for it to warm up. Okay, here's another thing. Thinner paper. Okay, this is thinner than this. Remember, these heated up super quick. This one took a little bit of time. Now, if we're going to do something super thick, like watercolor, okay, maybe we're doing a watercolor and we just want a splash of bling. Okay. Here's why you don't need stamps. You can do direct to paper. Tim Holtz has a bottle of embossing powder with a felt pad on there, which I would love to get my hands on. And you basically give it a little squeeze and you get it onto your paper, okay? And it is super hard to see because it's clear. But you can, once you start getting it on there, you can see it turn shiny, okay? It turns shiny. I'm just going to do this corner. I don't know why I feel the need to do the whole thing. Okay, so you get it nice and shiny. Okay, let's do something fun. We're going to do, sure there's no glitter on that. We did this corner, okay. I'm going to show you something. Okay. Just like so. Yep, I just scraped that off. I'll show you. It'll be okay. Okay. We're going to put that back on because we're going to go over this again. Okay. Grab our little box. Get that little guy out of there. Don't need to heat you up anymore. Okay. Watercolor paper. Super thick. 110-pound cardstock. Your base paper. Thick paper needs longer to heat up. That's why you don't want to be in the habit of waiting and going, because you'll start to burn this for sure by the time this starts melting. So we're going to turn it on, back and forth. Slow it down. It's much longer to get in there. Okay. Ooh, I had to do that for you. But see, right there, I just smeared it. Okay, that's what happens if you touch it right away. There's my fingerprint, okay? So you want to make sure, plus it's super hot. I mean, if you set this down and set something on it right after you've done your, it'll make impressions. So that might be fun, okay? Fun thing to think about, okay? So I made a mistake, okay? Something happened. I messed it up. What do? Throw it away? No. All boo-boos can be saved. Okay? All boo-boos can be saved. Yes, yes, yes. It's true. You can save your boo-boos. I'm going to ink. Pardon me while I get, I don't want to ink my table. I'm going to ink that bad boy right back up. Okay? Now, you can go right back in with the same color. Okay? Go right back in with the same color and heat that up. But maybe you like silver, but you want your silver to, oops, we don't want that though. Okay. We want to mix colors. Okay. So if you have a boo-boo in your specific color, definitely go back over it with the same color. Okay. This one here, notice I'm using a glitter. Okay. So this glitter, I'm going to heat from the back side. Okay. We're going to turn it on. Warm it up. Go go to the front. Okay, that's a little bit harder to see when it was melting because the white I used is an opaque. Okay, opaque means it's solid. This is opaque. You can't see through it. Translucent is your clear. Okay. Now you see, but because it's like a white opaque, it still picked up some of that darker color underneath, and you can see my little squiggle lines. Okay, so this is very, very fun and interesting. And then you can even go more. I mean, you can really build it up, and that's why they came out with this. Okay, this has some thick particles in it. Okay, and this is why I have a grungy one. We have a grungy one. I'm going to come out just a little bit so we can see it over the top. And you'll want to be a little bit more careful with your grungy one or this thick one. Okay, because those crystals can easily come off. Can you see those? They're like little glistening crystals. Okay, and those suckers are like everywhere. Look at that. Aren't they beautiful? Get that right back in there. Now, these big ones, I would do the same thing. I'm going to heat it from the back side because I don't want to accidentally blow them all off the page. So I'm going to flip it over, turn it on. My head is tipped to the side so I can see it start changing. That stuff is so beautiful. Okay, so that is ultra thick. There, it's definitely thick. Let me tell you, it's just beautiful. Ugh. And then, ooh, you know what? I wonder. Hold on a minute. Let me warm that back up. Gotta be quick. Woo! Oh, how fun! Okay, so I just stamped into the embossing powder while it was still warm. Can you see that? So you don't need ultra thick to do that. You could do layers and then heat up that last layer and stamp right into it. Ooh, that's really cool. Let me do this. Let me cool that down. Okay, so let's see what happens. Oh, see, here you can definitely see the powder. Okay, so I had the little granules, and from heating from underneath, I didn't blow them because there's no pad, there's no ink pad here. Okay, that was just where those big old granules sat, and how fun is that? And embossing, okay, it's going to resist. So I was hoping to get the color deep inside and then just wipe it off the surface. So it kind of tinted it though. It's not too bad. So there's a lot you can do with your embossing powders. Okay. So let me recap for you the things you must use. A sticky substance. Okay. Sticky substance. And these do work if you're quick. Okay. Pigments. Pigment mix, kind of anything that when you stamp stays wet for a little bit. These will work if the paper is porous enough, not so much on a glossy page, okay? I forgot to show you guys on wood too, but I'll do that real quick. Thick paper takes longer. Things, or must-haves, don't get lost. Sticky, your powder, and your heat tool. Those are your musts. If you're going to do this, you definitely need these, okay? And then some sort of sticky medium, and of course, what you're going to stamp on. And today we stamped on fabric. We stamped on watercolor paper. We're going to do this little wooden piece really quick, okay? I'm going to get my Yucky Versamark pad. Okay, and I'm going to just stamp that guy right in there. And we're going to do purple because I think that's going to be pretty. So we're going to get our little doodad out. Make sure he's all nice and sticky. Okay, we're going to put our powder on just like so. And we're going to grab a little pair of tweezies. Okay. So my powder stuck to that. Set that there. Cover that up. Okay, I definitely want my box for this because I'm going to set it in. And I don't want to heat up my glass mat. Oops. I dropped it. Don't mind me. We're going to turn this sucker on. Hold it right through the... Well, I scratched it a little bit. That's okay. Okay. Oh, you didn't even get to see it. Oh, I didn't even have it in camera. Dings it. But I just heat embossed that with my powder embossing. Okay. This little cookie is warm though because it's wood. You have to heat it up longer. So I was doing a lot of moving and whatnot, and then I just watched it turn beautiful purple, okay? And then you could put like a clear sticker over that. You can do anything you want with this. You could leave it like that. You could do another layer and then stamp in it. That would be fun, okay? The other way I forgot to show is you get your special tool, this little guy here, okay? You can ink this up, okay? And you can just mush that ink right in there, okay? So you can use your stencils, okay? get on there. We're going to do a little couple of bronze dots. I'm not going to heat it up because you've seen me heat them all up, okay? Keep it moving. Keep it going. It might be a good idea to use your little powder tool, or if you want a grungy look, definitely heat that up from the backside. I would heat that up from the backside because I kind of like how that looks. And yeah, okay. Actually, I'm going to heat that up from the backside because that's really cool. I don't want to lose it. I could definitely use that on something. Right into that little guy. Okay. Grab my little box. Flip this guy over. Make sure I'm in camera this time. Okay, so I'm going to go underneath, move her around. Okay, I started in the back, moved to the front. It's a little bit, it's definitely harder to tell sometimes when your little specks are, see, like that one I didn't heat. But yeah, so now that's permanent. That's going to be just like that. Okay. So cool. This stuff here, it's like spectacularly smooth. It's fabulous. Lots of stuff you can do, my friends. Okay, so sticky substance, heat tool, and powder. And you can do all of this stuff. Accessories that are beneficial. The anti-static powder thingy. You can make your own baby powder, cornstarch in a little socky or something like that. Blending tools, stencils, your medium, your surface substrate, whatever you're going to use, okay? And a coffee filter or a pan. If you like to use the pan, you can use the pan, okay? That or your coffee filter or both, okay? And if you want to keep everything tidy, a nice little box. Now you can see all the glitters I've lost in there, okay? They're all over in there. They're all over in here and not on my project, okay? So, sorry the video was so long, but I really wanted to go into depth and detail about all of this stuff. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. If you want to see something again because it wasn't very clear, I'll work it into a card in a future video, so don't feel ashamed or embarrassed. If you're nervous, you can definitely email me at chatwithsassy@gmail.com and we can have a private conversation. Until next time, my friends, I hope you have a beautiful day and pull out those embossing powders and make some beautiful stuff. I think I'm going to look into this more. That was just a lot of fun. Alrighty. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.